agree or disagree, but we're going to have people that watch it and go, wait a minute, wow. And their penny might drop, and they might get something from it, and then they might see it from a different angle,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, and this year's NAIDOC theme is next generation,
Yeah,
strength,
mad.
vision, and legacy.
Beautiful.
So yeah, it's really powerful. I think it's powerful because it speaks to us. You, me, my people. Our people. We're the next generation, and we need to have that vision, and that strength to do the right thing and leave behind the proper legacy. We need to have a vision where we see each other walking together,
Yep.
as one, and making a change within these systems that, oppress us all to keep us divided. These systems are put in place to keep us divided. So
Divided we fall, united we stand. You know what I mean?
100%, I love that.
That's. I don't mean to, not talk about that topic, but
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about your story as well. You know what I mean? Like, you've been through a lot and you've overcome a lot, and you know what I mean. You got a powerful testimony. So you grew up, you lost your pop, which was basically your dad at around 10,
Yeah.
and then what was like for you after that? Like, was your mum
I
still sort of on the scene, or did she?
Yeah, mum ended up living in Melbourne, but I'll go back to where we left off
Yeah.
before. I went and stayed with my uncle in Cummeragunja, and my grandfather and my grandmother went down to Melbourne, and my grandfather was going through this operation, to cut this tumor. It was the size of a Sherrin football. They cut it. They cut it off his left side of his lung, and they cut him from the front of his stomach right over his shoulder, over his back, and done
Wow.
this big operation, and cut this tumor off his lung. It was a success. He pulled through. They told him, look, you can't smoke no more. He
Yep.
was a drinker.
Yep.
And they said you can't smoke no more. And so, otherwise it'll come back and it can turn into cancer.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
he came, and we ended up choosing to move from Shepparton to Cummeragunja.
Okay.
When he was out on Cummera, I seen this side of him that I never seen in my life. He was free. He was out on country. He was with his brothers and his sister, and so, but he ended up picking the cigarettes back up and the alcohol, and he ended up getting diagnosed with cancer. And
So
so,
how long was that after his initial operation?
it would have been about, 12 months, I reckon.
Yep. Yep.
Maybe would have been around 12 months or